Now Cenk had another one of his series of big announcements, pronouncements, and epiphanies, and now he said, well, the evolution from being an online video, of course, is to make a TV show. His idea was to make a grassroots effort to get all of our loyal fans to pressure MSNBC to hire Cenk.
They send in emails, they send in pictures of them holding TYT and MSNBC signs.
Eventually, Phil Griffin, who's the head of MSNBC, called Cenk for a meeting. Phil wanted to get Cenk on the air and try him out as a guest host.
So he would fill in for whoever was not there.
Cenk was doing great as a fill-in host, but it doesn't really count unless you have a contract, and he didn't have a contract. He was not getting paid.
Our government, my government,
Okay,
your government,
no. Shut up. Okay, listen, you asked me a question 28 times. I'm in the middle of answering, and blah, 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 blah.
My opinion is that guy needed a tall glass of shut-up juice, okay? In real life, what I would do is say, all right, now shut the fuck up and I'm gonna tell you what it's about. They don't do that on television, and that's why television is boring, okay?
I hated when you did that. I hated when you said, as a fan of the show, I was disappointed. I'm being totally honest with you.
We're worried about what MSNBC is going to think because of the way Cenk handled that interview. That's the only thing I'm concerned about.
We're just worried because we're slight pussies, right? And we're worried about MSNBC.
One thing that I noticed is he was really good at playing the I'm a calm, level-headed individual.
Yes.
And this individual over here is getting outraged and going crazy. Look at how unreasonable and illogical he is.
Exactly.
Right. Now, people do that trick all the time.
That's a trick.
Right, that's a right-wing trick, right?
So our concern was that if MSNBC brass ever came across these videos, that Cenk's tenure at MSNBC would be over in a heartbeat.
By the way, I spent all of yesterday trying to avoid Chris Matthews. Every time I saw him, I was like,
Why?
there's a great chance he saw one of our clips on him, which were horrible, right?
We're going to destroy Chris Matthews. No, you idiot, you're a tool, you child. I didn't want to destroy Chris Matthews. He made me do it. Then in the middle of January, I got a call from Phil Griffin saying, hey, listen, I need you to be ready to go on the air fairly consistently.
If I get a show, we're definitely moving, like, all you guys. Is there anybody who wants to stay in LA? The upside is if I get a show, we're not going to run out of money.
We're going to need that. Some of that money. A lot of it.
Hey, be cool.
He sees TV as making it. Like, if you're in TV, that's the end-all be-all. And I think that online kind of has the stigma of not being credible. And he wants to be credible.
Let Chris, we gotta leave it here, but you gotta wake up, man. In 2004, they ran a whole national campaign against hating you.
Let me tell you what.
In 2006, they ran a whole national campaign against hating you.
And we are winning.
Frank, are you gonna listen to the question?
Your contempt for those who defend our country is focused. I understand that.
Ridiculous.
Not your contempt for America. We're talking about Social Security. Stick to the topic.
America?
What are you going to do about Social Security?
4,400 American lives in Iraq.
You have a shortfall.
Contempt for America.
Let's talk about Social Security. Social Security is
I already
the problem.
talked about it, and you already told me you're going to cut it.
No, I didn't. I said that there's a series
Chinese
of options.
menu of options.
There are.
I know, and you love every
exactly
one of
right.
them.
That's right. And you want to use it for a political issue rather than being adult.
The stunning report from the Southern Poverty Law Center puts the number of active U.S. hate groups at more than 1,000 for the first time ever. Topping the list, the Ku Klux Klan with 221 related groups. They're followed by neo-Nazi groups, 170 of them nationwide. And that doesn't make any sense. So why is this Congressman King not focused on those groups and those threats?
He's on television, you know, instead of me going home and be like, oh yeah, I work for the Young Turks, you know, Cenk is, you know, and they're like, who's that? And I'm like, he's on MSNBC. Oh.
Our fans felt that, you know, MSNBC was number one and TYT was number two, and Cenk was not giving our show enough time and effort. And it was true.
A lot of our members dropped out. It was a really bad time, in my opinion.
I have to believe that Cenk was kind of biased because he was getting paid by MSNBC for the first time in his career. And with that MSNBC, he was back to his tiny little salary.
Phil called me in and said, hey, Cenk, we're going to go in a different direction.
And they're going to move him to the weekend and give that spot to Al Sharpton.
But resist we much. We must and we will much about that be committed.
And Cenk Uygur joins me now from Los Angeles. Welcome. You referred right there to Phil Griffin, the president of MSNBC. What did you think he meant when he asked you to tone it down?
Well, we're having the conversation, and he said, I talked to people in Washington, and they were concerned about your tone. And in the beginning of the conversation, I was thinking, that's kind of a weird way to put something. What does he mean? His friend Bob in Washington? Does he mean one of the reporters? What does he mean? But as the conversation unfolded,
apparently he meant other MSNBC staffers.
That's what he claims.
But you suggested when the split came that perhaps there was some White House pressure on MSNBC because you have taken on the president on various things, but you don't have any evidence of that, do you?
But I didn't say that. I said people in Washington had a concern with my tone, which is what Phil Griffin told me. I didn't say that he said that it was the White House. Now, who's the people in Washington? I think that's a really great question. Probably needs some more investigation. A friend of mine just suggested that I watch a 60 Minutes piece from a couple of months ago on Al Sharpton, and I found that to be very curious because Leslie Stahl said there, and here I have the quote for you, Sharpton says he's decided not to criticize the president about anything. So the guy who was criticizing the president is out, even though he had really good ratings, and the guy who has decided not to criticize the president about anything is in. That's interesting.
Let me read you the MSNBC statement. I know you've seen this. Cenk's claims are completely baseless. In fact, we were working on a new contract to develop him into an even bigger television talent. We did have numerous conversations with Cenk about his style, not substance. It's unfortunate that he's decided to depart in such a negative fashion. After you were asked to tone it down, you in fact kicked it up and went back to your more expressive style. So you were kind of giving MSNBC a finger in the eye.
Look, when they tell me, hey, you got to be an insider and watch your tone, I think I'm not going to do that. And if you want to hire me, great. If you don't want to hire me, okay, well, this is what happens.
Almost President Al Gore has founded web and cable channel Current TV.
Current called Cenk, and they went through the negotiations, and that proceeded in a way that the MSNBC didn't. The MSNBC was obviously giving him a runaround. Current was obviously serious about it.
When Cenk first told me about this Current opportunity, my first reaction was, no way, don't do it. We just got through this MSNBC debacle, don't do it.
Welcome to Current TV, Cenk.
Well, I've been waiting to call you my president for a long time.
A former vice president of the United States is sparking some serious controversy today after deciding to sell his fledgling, failing, I guess, cable news network to a Mideastern organization that has expressed some very anti-American sentiments in recent years. Al Gore officially sold his operation Current TV to Al Jazeera. Well. So Current TV, which nobody's ever heard of, most of our viewers have never heard of this thing. It's in 40 million households. Only 42,000 people were watching it on a given night. That's not good. Just FYI, from being in the cable world, I can tell you, Current TV is very far to the left, very far to the left. I mean, it's
to the left of left.
Yeah, it's to the left of anything you've ever heard of. Okay, so, but it failed. I mean, it failed. Now it's failed. Liberal talk radio has failed. There doesn't seem to be a big market for this kind of messaging.
When you said you were going to Current TV, I think a lot of people were skeptical because I still don't know where Current TV is. I don't know what they do at Current TV, and we all thought this is going to be fantastic, or it's just going to be nothing, and it turned out to be nothing. Yeah.
The lights went out a couple of times during the show.
And why would they go out?
I don't think we paid the electric bill.
Again, they didn't pay the electric bill.
Now, you hear that. That's a joke that everybody says. Oh, right. They forgot to pay the electricity bill.
Yeah.
I don't think we paid the...
It actually happened in this case.
So there is more drama in the media world. We found out, was that last Friday that we found out that Keith Olbermann, that his contract was terminated?
Actually, I think it was Monday.
Maybe it was Monday. But now we're finding out a little more. Some of the documents are coming out from the lawsuit, and well, basically, he didn't really think all that kindly or all that highly, apparently, about Cenk Uygur. Hyatt and Borman asked Olbermann about the possibility of hiring Cenk. Olbermann said he didn't believe it would be a good choice. And he said that Uygur had difficulty separating facts from things he wanted to be true.